Hey, what's up, guys? This is T-Bone here. In today's episode, I wanted to go over a basic concept that I had covered a long time ago that I think is still valuable, and also wanted to show you a new trick that I actually picked up from KTC Esquire. She mentioned it to me a few days ago, and I tried it out and thought that this would be interesting to use in certain situations. So basically, the mechanic here is clock stopping. So how to stop the game clock as you're playing the game. This is a very fundamental skill that is important for everyone to learn and to get better at, because it's going to allow you to get more attacks in. But at some point, you're going to encounter a deck that will eventually fill up the board, such as the Prince Permafrost deck, because this card will create dark gems every single turn, but as the number of killer intensity increases, it also increases the number of gems that it creates. Eventually, it will fill up the board every single turn, and you're going to start losing time on the clock, and that becomes an issue when we have to do longer fights. And so how to stop a clock when the board is actually filled up. We've had a couple of other ways to do it in the past before, but I'm going to show you a new way that I learned, and that is to activate a battle skill after you've done a gym match. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go into a fight right now against an Umbral boss. Now, this deck isn't made to deal a ton of damage. I'm using this as an example to show you what could happen, and also how to actually use the skill here. And so you can see also, just regularly as I'm playing, what I'm doing here is I am also doing matches as quick as I could. In this case, I'm actually trying to match more gems so that I could fill out the board, so I can actually activate my Start Caller Commando again. But later on, you'll see that what I'm going to do is I'm going to start doing more quick matches, and I've set up my deck this way as well, just so that I can avoid dying in one shot, so that I can have higher health in these situations where I don't match enough gems to power up my Start Caller Commando. And as you can see here, I actually survived one hit there, but I'm going to be able to fill up every single turn now, and so I'm no longer worried about my health. And so what I'm going to do in this particular case, I'm just going to build this up, and I'm staggering the activation of my support cards, because I want to have the ability to actually fill out the board and then use my other battle skill if necessary to stop the clock, as I mentioned. And so we're getting to the point where the cards are about to fill out the board, and then I'm just going to continuously use Start Caller Commando to actually to delay the clock as well. And I'm also going to go ahead and activate the cards here. And so what you can see here is we're at 180 intensity for the killer intensity, and the board is getting there, and eventually I'll be able to use my Draconic Scoundrels. And so notice that I'm activating my I'm activating the, and here it is. I'm going to activate this. It's actually a little bit late, so I'm going to show you one more time. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to activate my Draconic Scoundrel, and then I'm going to activate the Permafrost. Then I'm going to activate Start Caller Commando right afterwards. So watch what happens. I'm going to queue this up first, so that what it's going to do is it's going to fill up the board. I'm going to activate this again, and I'm going to match, and then I'm going to stop the clock immediately. So you can sort of see what happens. I do the match first, and as soon as I activate Commando, it queues the skill. But as it's queuing up the skill, it also basically would stop the clock. And then notice what I did there. The board has been filled, and so I activate and queue up the battle skill of my other basically now I stagger back and forth, and so I can actually have the board be fully filled, and I am actually stopping the clock effectively, right? So you can see here, I'm actually stopping the clock, and I'm activating the battle skills to stop the clock there. So even though I am actually filling up the board here, I'm not actually losing any time off the clock. So this is actually a kind of a game changer here. If you're able to sort of set up a deck so that you can do this, you can actually get your attacks in very easily. See what I'm doing here? I'm able to stagger, because when you use the Start Caller Commando battle skill, what happens here is it basically will have one turn where it will not be able to activate. And so here I'm going to activate Draconic Scoundrel, and then also get the board fill again. And so because I stagger my support cards in the beginning, every single turn I have another card that I'm going to be able to fill up, be able to activate. And so just if you practice this, then you can see how many attacks I'm actually getting in. Now, this isn't the highest, damage deck as I mentioned, but it is intended to show you how you can use this mechanic. Okay, so we'll continue to watch this and see how many attacks I can actually get in here before I lose the clock here. So in this case, I lost out because I didn't activate fast enough, but you can sort of see here, simply by waiting to activate, I am able to fill out the board without losing time on the clock there. And so that was I would say, if you can find a good deck synergy that allows you to also build up more damage over time, then this would come in very handy to help you save more time in those situations. And so that was the deck I built here was to show that particular behavior. But normally what you actually want to do is you probably would want to have more damage from your from this card, and so you actually would want to use as leader. So again, I did it the other way so I can get more health, but this is where you're going to actually get a little bit more damage. And just to sign off here, I also built this deck right here, which allows me actually the most damage in this particular event, and this actually gets me a really nice damage against solo bosses. So before I sign off, what I want to do is I just want to show you how this works. I'm going to go into a world boss here that has 131 billion, and I have 2 support cards. I have the Draconic Scoundrels plus one Enriched Vanguard. If you have 2, it'll work better, but if you have Hell and you only have 1 ultra rare but you have Hell, that'll be good to put in because Hell is actually available in the season collection, and you'll want to actually have her be activated second. So I'm going to use 1 key here to show you how this works. So we're going to go into battle, and again, clock stopping is going to be important, and how you want to stop the clock is as soon as you do a gem match, you want to do another off match so that it will stop the clock as soon as you complete doing that. And then just activate your cards beforehand. Activate your cards before it actually is available. And then again, I did the same trick here where the board was filled and then I activated my support card last to stop the clock early. In this particular case, it isn't going to, it isn't really necessarily going to make much of a difference, but by ending your attack early and stopping and saving the clock, it could mean sometimes the difference of getting an additional attack in versus not. And so hopefully this helps you. Hopefully this trick is going to be something that you can find use in your own decks, and you might not necessarily be able to reproduce the same deck I used, but the idea is the same. You can see examples of this with also Spirits United type deck. Basically anything that generates a lot of gems will benefit from this mechanic, and using a 1-turn cooldown card such as Starcaller Commando is actually going to be the best way to take advantage of this. So that's all for today's video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. I'm also available on the network app. Anytime you can reach out to me and you can ask me any questions there. So thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for your time, and I will see you next time. Take care.